and bring to you another installment of Dr. Warren Farrell. And for those of you who don't know who Dr. Warren Farrell is, he wrote the book The Boy Crisis. And it's an excellent read. If you haven't checked the book out, you definitely need to check it out. It's a really good read on the importance of fathers in the house. But, the crisis that boys find themselves into right now. And, boys are falling behind as far as education, going to college, graduating from college, social standing, the higher suicide, suicide rates are the highest suicide rates are among young men. And, they're more, they're more apt to get arrested. They're more apt to be victims of violent crime. Kind of a plethora of issues that young men find themselves in today. And again, we got to understand fathers are important in the households, and especially when it comes to young boys. With raising young boys into men, both sons and daughters tend to do better with both parents in the house, but boys in particular do much better. And the reason why is because, again, single parents tend to be mothers, and the girls they suffer as well, but at least they tend to have somebody to look up to. And how to become a woman is look at mom. They modeled themselves after their mother. Where the boys, in a lot of ways, kind of seem to fall behind. They don't have anyone to look up to and model themselves after. So the boys are really going to take the brunt of this. And but the clip I'm getting ready to play for you guys is a clip on delayed gratification. And what that is and what that means to young men and becoming young boys and becoming men, and how that how delaying gratification, again, if you give somebody what they need or what they want, it tends to kind of satisfy them, number one, so they don't go after and they don't reach for anything else. They kind of stay with what they have. It's like, why go after something I've already got what I need, so they tend to kind of, it's kind of like the reason why drugs and alcohol and stuff are so addictive. We use that as a way to make us feel good, so we kind of put off things that will actually make our lives better in the long term, in the long run, because we're covering up with that. We're satisfying it with that drug or alcohol or food for an immediate gratification. And delayed gratification, what he's talking about here in the clip I'm going to show you, is, if we do that, if we tell our young men that, hey, look, if you want something, you have to work for it, you have to go after it. We're not going to give you necessarily what you want at that moment. Go after it, work for it, and that kind of sets them up to if I want to fill this void in my life, I'm going to have to fill it. I'm going to have to go after what it is. I'm going to have to make something out of myself and something better for myself. And, I think a lot of fathers understand this. They were a lot of times mothers, even though they're well-meaning, they tend to they tend to give them what they want at the moment, not think it's a real big deal. And by giving somebody else what they want. It's kind of like if you give someone a fish to feed them for a day, they come back to you tomorrow and they want another fish, another fish, another fish, and you haven't taught them how to fish, right? And that's the same kind of thing that he's getting to. Is like again, delay the gratification. Don't if you want something, if you want a boy might have the talent to become a really good football player or baseball player or whatever, or actor or singer or whatever. But if he doesn't understand that he has to work hard and cultivate the talent, then he is going to fall behind. He's not going to ever go after something if he thinks that he can just, and someone just gives him something to make him feel good in the moment. It's like then when he does feel good, he looks for something else to fill it real quick. Instead of, looking at things long term and working for something and trying to achieve something. But again, I'm going to put up this clip and you can see what Dr. Farrell has to say on this.
Yes, because the lack of father involvement leads many boys to feel that they don't usually have postponed gratification. So I'll give you an example of what happens. So moms and dads tend to set boundaries the same way. They both care about their children. They say, "Sweetie, you can't have your ice cream until you finish your peas." Children tend to test boundaries the same way. They want to have as few peas as possible before they get their ice cream. The difference between moms and dads, on average, and sometimes this is reversed, the roles are reversed. On average, the difference is that when the child says to mom, I don't want to have my peas, I had a bad day in school today, I was bullied by somebody, or the mom and dad are divorced and the mom feels guilty about the divorce and feels the child must be very stressed, her empathy tends to step forward and she says to herself some version of, I'm not going to get into a big argument about a few peas, this is ridiculous. Now, when they're married and the father does get enforces they can't have the peas until they can't have the ice cream until they have the peas, the mother feels that the dad is being insensitive. When they're divorced and the children are going over to the father's house, the father says, "I'm sorry, we had a deal here. The deal is you can't have your ice cream until you finish your peas." And the child goes, "You're so mean, mom, and lets me have my peas when I've had a bad day like this." And so with the dad, the children learn that they have to focus on finishing their peas in order to get their ice cream. And because dad's not going to give in, and empathy will not, the child cannot coerce or manipulate the father's emotions in order to get the ice cream before he finishes the peas. Whereas with mom, the child is learning, I can manipulate a better deal here. Mom says, "Okay, I know you've had a bad day, so I'll tell you what, just have half the peas." And so the child realizes, this is negotiable. So it begins to try to have half a piece. And then the mom says, "Okay, again, the child at least tried. They've had a bad day. Okay." So now the child is learning that with mom, I can manipulate better deals. And so the skill set that the child with mom often learns is that of manipulation, but also a lack of respect for the mom's boundaries. And so the mom finds herself repeating the boundaries. And where dad, after a while, does not have to repeat it because dad's made clear that when the child does not finish the peas, there's no ice cream. So
yeah, I mean, that's it. That's really it right there. It's like, dads, we tend to kind of, hey, look, it's like, if you want something, you're going to have to, you're not going to get beyond, what I say goes. And I said, no, it's not going to work. You want ice cream before you finish your food? It's like, no, I'm not going to give it to you. And that is like structuring boundaries, like reinforcing those boundaries. And again, it's one thing I've even learned in my own life. A lot of times my kids, and I'm not saying anything about it, but my wife, she does a good job with the kids, but they don't come to me and ask me, Dad, can I get this? Can I please, did you finish whatever? No. They know the answer is no, so I don't let them try anymore. But a lot of times they will go to the mother, because, they understand the boundary is more fluid. It's not as rigid as my boundaries are in a lot of ways. And, it's not, I'm not saying it's always the best, but it's like, again, they understand, if they want something, they're going to have to do whatever they need to do to get that. Or if they need to work towards something, or they need to show or prove that they're responsible to do something, they have to do so. And if they don't, I'm not giving in to them. But again, I mean, if we struggle for something, the reward is so much sweeter. I mean, it really is, and we understand that. And the taste of something. It's like when years ago, back in the, back almost 40 years when I started cutting grass for, when I was cutting grass for the neighbors and stuff, it was like that first $8 that I made from cutting my neighbor's grass next door, in 1986, I think it was 36 years ago. It's like that money was so sweet. It just, it's like I earned that money. That was my money. And I felt really good and really strong about earning that money. It wasn't given to me. It was me earning it. And it was me earning it and being paid by somebody who was not a family member. It was my neighbor. And, but understanding that, understand the fact that when we struggle, there's always going to be a struggle in anything worth getting. It's not going to be easy. In that struggle is what makes it so sweet, and that discipline, that disciplining yourself to make it through that struggle, is what brings people to greatness. But without that, they don't have that discipline and that understanding of I got to finish what's in front of me to make it to that place. It's like you might be a very talented football player or violinist or engineer or whatever, but if you're not willing to work hard and to have discipline for what it is, it's like you're not going to achieve your potential. And we see that in so much in boys now, and now, and even in men, grown men, that are 30, 40 years old sometimes, that live with their parents and whatever. It's like they're it's like, I want something, I want this, I'm not doing well, and their mother or whatever kind of gives them whatever they need to make them feel good at that moment, or their fathers, giving them something they need at that moment to make them feel better, without understanding that you're basically giving them a drug. You're giving them something to kind of pacify them for a short time, and then when they need it again, they ask for the same thing, just to maybe higher amounts or whatever. And then after years, they find themselves in a position to where they're not happy, and they're depressed, and they're suicidal, and which is one thing I think is what happens to men. in a lot of ways. You know, it's like we've got to push our boys into doing something better for themselves, because again, you know, sometimes it ends up taking years to realize this, through pain and struggle and everything else, to realize that, you know, I know in my own life, it's like, you know, if I'm given something, you know, I don't work for something. It's like I end up pacifying myself with you know, with whatever that somebody gives me, or whatever food or drink or whatever is in front of me. So, but yeah, I mean, again, if you haven't checked out this guy's book, The Boy Crisis, check it out, read it. You know, it's really a good book. It really talks about our boys, and you know, some of the reasons, some of the things they're going through, and some of the reasons why. But anyways, guys, if you would, please like and subscribe to my channel, and again, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks.
You son of a.